In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the lower radiator hose on this Toyota 4Runner. Let's get started. We actually have to remove the front skid plate. You have 3 bolts at the front. Technically, mine only has 2 because this one's missing, and 2 at the back. Mine are 13 millimeter in size. Yours are most likely going to be 12 millimeter if they're still the original bolts. Okay, it's got some hooks on the front, so you want to push it backwards, and then you slide it forward to get it off the hook on the back. Set this aside. And now with this shield off, let's loosen up the lower radiator hose clamp. I have a worm clamp here. Someone replaced the original spring clamp, but if you still have the spring clamp, squeeze it with pliers and get it off of here and inspect it. If it's in poor condition, replace it. If not, reuse it. Fluid will come out, so have a collection bucket ready. No matter how much you drain it, there will still be some at the bottom of the radiator. Do the same with the clamp that sits on the engine side. Loosen it up or squeeze it if you still have the original, and then we'll remove it. Okay, give this hose a couple twists and pull it off of the engine. Save the hose clamps and let's get the new hose. Let's get the new hose up here, press it on all the way, just like this. Slide the hose clamp over and get it over there, and then just so it can stop leaking, I'm going to put this hose clamp on as well and slide it over the radiator. Just like this, make sure it's bottomed out fully. Now let's tighten up both clamps. If you're using these worm clamps, make sure you snug them up, but don't over tighten them because they do strip out easily, and if you strip it out, you have to replace it. So once it starts squeezing the hose a little bit, give it about another full turn and stop right there. We'll do the same up here. Okay, right about there. Perfect. When you put this front one in, make sure you hook it onto the rear shield, and then up at the front here, on the lower radiator support, the 2 shorter bolts go up at the front into the radiator support, and then the 2 longer bolts go back here that clamp the 2 shields together. Tighten them all up. Now let's fill the cooling system. Open up the radiator cap, set it aside, and use the appropriate type of coolant. If you're unsure of what to use, refer to your owner's manual, and just fill it up until you can see that the radiator is full all the way to the top. There we go. Once the radiator has been completely filled, cap this off, move over to your overflow tank, pull this hose out with the cap, set it aside, and add the rest of your coolant in here. Make sure it's about halfway full. Any more than that, and it could expand too much, the coolant will come in here as it heats up so that it doesn't overflow from the radiator. This is basically the overflow from it. So if you put too much in, it'll actually start coming out. And if it's too little, it won't have enough to pull in as it needs to as it self-bleeds. Once you've added enough coolant here, cap this off, make sure it clicks on. And now with the coolant filled up, let's turn on the engine and bleed the system. Inside the vehicle, make sure that your temperature gauge is all the way up. Make it blow on the vents so you can actually feel the heat. Blower on low, you don't want it too high because it'll cool down too fast and it'll take too long for the engine to warm up. You want the AC off, and as it runs and warms up, pay attention to your temperature gauge and make sure it doesn't go past the halfway mark. Obviously, if it's getting up to the red in the overheating zone, shut it off, let it cool down. It's most likely an air pocket, and then start it again. And once you've completed that process, you're done. You can take it for a road test.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.